What up, people? Welcome back or welcome. I hope that this finds you when it needs to find you. I hope that you hear what you need to hear. And truthfully, I really do hope that you hear what you need to hear. I hope that this is the divine timing and that you do find this when you need it. Because this is all about me growing and me using this platform that modern day society gifted me in order to grow in front of you and hopefully grow with you, because you guys deserve just as much growth as I do. And hopefully as I work myself through these lessons, through these questions that I ask, that you will find beauty in that, that you will find learning in that, you will find lessons in that. And yeah, so anyways, without further ado, today's topic is a question. And today's question is, can we do more? Can we do more? We're constantly caught between the intersection of wondering and forcing ourselves and feeling like we need to do more, like we need to apply ourselves a little bit more, like we need to put in a little bit more effort, and then the other sentiment of we're tired. We've done a lot. We've worked our asses off. We need time to relax, and there are not enough hours in the day. And again, I'm sure I've said this before, maybe you are enough as it is. Maybe this isn't about how much you can physically exert yourself. Maybe this is just the idea of teaching yourself that maybe your mind is in control. And it's also a question. It's more about self-worth, you know? This is also a question that I'm proposing to you and saying, maybe it's not about tricking our mind into let's do more, let's push ourselves a little bit further. Maybe this is about understanding I am enough. Maybe this is about understanding and processing the fact that we do enough, you know, but also take that with a grain of salt. Understand that there is a portion of you that is maybe slacking off a little bit. That maybe the amount of times that you spend scrolling through Reels or TikToks, or, you know, wasting your time doing whatever, maybe there is some form of application that you can be putting yourself, you could be putting yourself in that situation to apply yourself a little bit more. Thankfully, I found a way out of that little hole that I worked myself into. But maybe you can do more. Maybe you can't. Maybe you're tired. Maybe there's not enough hours in the day. Maybe you overwork yourself already. But maybe there is that time that you can do a little bit more. But again, maybe you're enough. There are boundaries to life. There are priorities to life. And maybe we can be more, but what about those boundaries? You know, and what about relaxation? Understand the hours that you have worked and understand the hours that you have relaxed and compare the two. It's definitely not, I don't know the ratio, but it's definitely not a 50-50 that life is relax 50% of the time and work the other 50% of the time. That's not really going to get you very far. That's not really going to get you anything at all. That's a part-time job that you can't live off of, and you'll be living off of other people for the rest of your life if we're just talking about monetary value alone. But understand that you need to relax. Understand that the amount of hours that you have in a day are not always only supposed to be work. Not always only that, you know? But take a look in the mirror and say, are you on Reels all day instead of making an impact in this world? Are you playing your PlayStation or Xbox instead of putting in, you know, yourself and applying yourself to something that you feel is necessary for you, that you feel will further your life, that you feel, you know, will make you a part of society? And you can't be a drone. You can't be a drone in this life, you know? You can't be that numb, I don't know, I was about to start just calling people names, but you can't be that numb person. That person who just drones through life, who's a zombie, who sits on their phone, and when they get up off their phone, it's because they're doing a task, and then when they're done with that task, they go and they sit down and they're on their phone. And this isn't me saying that I'm not a victim to that. This isn't me saying that I'm above you in any way, because I am a victim to that. The fact that I'm even doing this recording right now is a huge step for me, and I deserve my props from myself, not props from you, but I deserve to feel like I'm accomplishing something, even though that's difficult in itself, just for the fact that I'm here. Just for the fact that I'm doing this, that I'm forcing myself through this, because as far as I'm concerned, I just wanted to get home, shower, and sit down and play my game. But I'm doing more than that. I'm applying myself more than that, and I deserve credit within myself to sacrifice that relaxation time, to ask myself, hey, can we do more? And we did more, you know? And that's not without that relaxation that I needed beforehand. I went and I got food with my friends, and this is also an example. I sat there and debated with my friend and said, you know, I don't know, maybe I gotta be quick though, you know, I'm not sure if I should even go, I don't know, you know, I do have obligations here, but a big part of that was just the fact that I'm an anxious person, that I'm feeling like if I go out and hang out with these people that are my friends, if I go and hang out with my friends, and if I go in, I don't know, relax, that I'm wrong for that? That I need to suffer a little bit more on the back end because of that? That this is, you know, that I have to do a pro and con list over if I deserve to hang out with my friends and I deserve to be a human fucking being? No, that's not, and that's the conclusion that I came to with him. I said, I'm just an anxious person. I'm just being a douchebag right now by acting like this is a waste of my time. You guys deserve my time because you guys make me enjoy my time. That's relaxation. And I gave myself that. I said, you are entitled to that relaxation. I told you that, I told me, what do I have to stress about? Not everything is business. Not everything is monetization. Not everything is trying to overcome the next hurdle. Maybe the hurdle in front of you is enjoying your time, you know? But also ask yourself, can I do more when that downtime is gone, you know? Or if you've spent a whole chunk of that downtime, you know? If you sat there for hours and hours, and sometimes you need those hours and hours, and you need hours and hours on top of that, you know? Sometimes you just need to sleep the weekend away if you've worked all week or some shit like that, you know? But there's also time for work. There's also times for creation. There's also, you know, and creation is work, and you need to understand that. Maybe you have a passion, but that passion requires work to get to an end goal. So you have to ask yourself, can I do more in contributing to that? Or do I need to reset? And you need to understand how to reset. You need to understand how to, like, put a pause on. How to say, okay, there's something more important than what's going on in front of me, and it's me. What's more important is me. What's more important is my health. What's more important is stopping and slowing down and being a part of a moment. We are washed from these moments. Everything is, you know, something that we are obligated and entitled to show and pass on to somebody else. It's less about being present, and it's more about making sure that we can catch it on recording. And that's a fair judgment to place on the younger generations, which I am a part of. That's a fair judgment. So when you hear all these grandparents like, back in my day, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, that's dumb as fuck, but they might have a point. And you need to be common sense enough to ask yourself those things. To ask yourself, hey, can I do more? Just because their life was hard doesn't mean my life needs to be hard, but can I do more? Can I get up and can I just produce? Can I produce? And can I not overdo it as well? Can I do what I can? You know, and that's the hard balance to find. The hard balance to find is to be at that intersection and to choose when you need it, I'm going to go this way. Or to choose when you need it, I'm going to go this way. You have your options. You have many options, and to treat them like options is good. But to go into everything with guilt as your propeller is a different story as well. You know, and one thing that I need to explain, and this will be a completely separate episode as I say it, but one thing that I need to explain is that if you go into relaxation with guilt, That is not relaxation. That is stress. That is just stress and stress in a stagnant state. You are just still. You are just stressed out and you are still. You are ripping the idea of relaxation and a reset away from you, which is why you are then 10 times drained, 10 times more drained later. When you go about that and when you actually waste that time, but feel stressed about wasting that time, after you waste that time, you don't feel refreshed because you were busy worrying about something anyways. You just aren't adding the physical element and the piece where you are actually capable of accomplishing anything. You aren't adding that in there. It's not about relaxing. It's not about sitting still. It's about being worried about sitting still. That is not actually sitting still. That is not a reset, you know? And to bring it back to boundaries, you need to put a boundary in between you and the idea of guilt. Guilt cannot propel you into accomplishing things, but guilt can also not be present when you don't aim to accomplish things. Guilt will ruin everything, you know? Guilt in itself, again, is a whole separate topic. So, aside from that topic, do what you can. Be present when you can, accomplish things when you can, grow up when you can, grow when you can. But if you need, then you need to understand that you need. And it's that simple. It's not that simple. I understand that. It's not. It's not a situation where you can look yourself in the mirror and say, what do you feel today? And just instantly know. You have to dig deep, you know? And maybe that is looking in the mirror. But maybe this world doesn't look in the mirror at all. I think that that's what I mean with this whole old mentality telling us that we're never present. They're right. We don't look in the mirror. Legitimately look in the mirror. Legitimately say, how do you feel? How does this make you feel? We need somebody else to do that for us. We need a therapist. We need this. We need that. We need the other thing. We need, you know, things to fill the hole, you know? And maybe that's work. Maybe work is what we use to fill that hole. So maybe when we ask ourselves, can we do more? Maybe that is just in an effort to fill the gap that we feel inside of ourselves. So again, this is a question. Do you feel that the more that you need to do is an escape? Or do you feel that you do enough? Do you feel that the more that you need to do is because you are not doing enough genuinely? That you need to get to an end goal genuinely? Or are we doing enough? Can you do more in the sense that maybe, just maybe, we're worth that effort? Or do we give enough effort on a daily basis? And you need to ask yourself, you need to weigh them out, and you need to take into account that work that you would be putting in, as much as you may feel like a passion for it, no matter what it is, it's still work. It's still different from relaxation. It's still different from resetting. It's still different from taking a break. We need a break, you know, and we need to understand how many hours we've worked versus, you know, how much time we've relaxed. And if there is no relaxation time within them, like within that whole entire span of these 24 hours, if there is no relaxation time within this past week, then it's up to you, you know? And don't try and, you know, say, that's just life. That's just life. Shut up. Shut up. I'm so tired of that shit. I'm so tired of people acting like this life isn't within their grasp. You are in control of yourself, your headspace, what you do with your time. Sure, you may have a set schedule, but if you know how to work around that set schedule for everything, then you can work around that schedule for yourself. Stop bitching out of putting in effort. Stop bitching out of sitting still and sitting alone because you need to do that. Stop getting scared and crawling back into your shell because you don't know what else to do. Deal with this shit. Deal with it. Honestly. Everybody else is doing their best to overcome what's in front of them. And I'm not giving up. A lot of other people aren't giving up. A lot of people are genuinely looking themselves in the mirror. A lot more than, in the past. I feel like I'm sandwiched in between the idea that we can just, scroll and forget, and also, the idea that we need to think a little bit more. I'm like at that. I'm not saying my generation deserves props, because we're probably the beginning of that, that laziness and that, I don't know what the word is for it, but we're the beginning of that. We're the beginning of people who just stopped caring. People who have an excuse to stop and sit still, but sit still and stimulate themselves at the same time. What an odd time. So I'm not saying that my generation deserves credit for navigating through the laziness, but maybe we deserve credit for navigating through the laziness, Maybe we are the generation that actually stops and sits and comes to terms with the people that they are, because I'm not sure that the generation underneath me does that. I'm not sure that the generation before me does that. I'm not sure that many people do that. I'm sure that all of us, all generations, have found a separate and a different distraction. And they have made sure that they've suffered and wasted their time with that. But you, no matter what generation you're in, no matter who you are, shift your perspective. Shift your perspective. Hanging out with friends, going out to eat, and enjoying yourself is not going to kill you. But once you are home, ask yourself, can I do more with my time? Do I have to sit here and stress it, or do I have to just get up and fucking do it? And do I even have to do it? Can I do more, or can I relax? Can I stop? Can I sit still? Can I be a part of this world that's around me without worrying about this world that's around me abandoning me? And maybe that's another separate topic in itself as well, is that this world isn't going to abandon you. This world it's here to stay if it's meant to stay. The whole notion that God will only give you something that you can handle is true. And it doesn't matter what God or what creator you believe in. But whatever is in front of you is meant for you. And maybe you don't believe in that at all, and that's fine. But I do. I believe that whatever is in front of you is meant for you, and if you believe that as well, then you need to own up to that, face it, and deal with it, and grow from it. Is it a loss or a lesson? I've asked that before. But you need to just grow through it. Because you can. Because this world is yours. Stop saying that it's not. Stop saying that, these priorities take away any of my enjoyment. I can never enjoy myself, this job and my car, and then I gotta pay for gas, and then I've gotta buy food. So does everybody else. Shut up and grow up. And when you can do more, but do what you can. Don't force it. Don't force your hand into things that you are not comfortable doing. Find a balance. Put a boundary up. Put a boundary up with yourself when you are lazy, but also put a boundary with yourself when you need to be lazy. When you need to be lazy, then you need to be lazy, and maybe it's not laziness, maybe it's a reset. Maybe it's something you need, maybe it's something important. And ask yourself, can I do more? Can I do more? Don't get caught in the loop of, can I do more, but there's this, but can I do more, but there's this, but can I do more, but there's this. But no. Know yourself, know your boundaries, know your limits, reset when you need, and accomplish the things that you can when you can. So ask yourself that, honestly. So I don't know. Did I make sense? Does this apply to today? To this Sunday that this is coming out on? Does this apply to what's in front of you, the reality that you live in? You tell me. And if you got notes, again, I'm here. I'm open ears because I need to grow just as much as you do. You know, and I think I can do more. And I think there are things that I need to do to accomplish that more. I think that my mind needs a reset. And I think I'm going to go do that. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for bestowing that opportunity onto me. Thank you guys for everything. And thank you guys for growing. Peace.